In our first story, the Electoral Commission has officially suspended April's voter registration exercise, citing concerns over the coronavirus pandemic, which is wreaking havoc across the globe. Now, April 18 exercise has proved quite controversial, with a number of opposition parties and civil society groups describing it as needless and costly. Now, the decision to suspend the exercise was made after an inter-party advisory committee meeting on Wednesday. The Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Srebo Kwaku, told Joy News the decision is based on advice by health experts the Commission consulted.
We had planned to do the registration on the 18th,
right?
But because of the pandemic, we can't do it on the 18th. So we are observing what is happening around Ghana and the global issue. We are with the Minister of Health and Ghana Health Services and other health experts. So they are also monitoring the situation and advising us. So when it gets to a time they think that the situation is fertile for us to go ahead with the registration, then they tell us, now you can do A, B, C. Then we implement and then go ahead and do it.
So for now, the 18th is on hold.
It's on hold.
It's not, if it's on hold, means that...
Has it been suspended?
Suspended,
it's
exactly.
Suspended.
So it can be 18th, yes. So what we are telling them is that we are thinking of going towards ending of April or early May, but depending on what the health experts will advise. From all the discussions that we have had, we are saying that there's no way we can use the existing register. So we are moving forward with the new register, and that's what we are preparing to.
In Parliament, the minority is calling on the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to dismiss the Minister for Environment, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, and subsequently prosecute him. They say the President's decision to remove him as chairman of the Inter-Ministerial Task Force on Illegal Mining is evidence that he is an accomplice in the illegal mining activities ongoing and should be sanctioned. Government announced the decision to replace Professor Frimpong Boateng as chairman of the task force with the Lands Minister, Asoma Kyereme. Minority spokesperson on Mines and Energy, Adams Mutawakilu, says government first made a mistake by making Professor Frimpong Boateng the chairman of the task force.
In the first place, cabinet, the president and the cabinet made a mistake by putting him as in charge. Because the Minerals and Mining Act is clear that the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources should be in charge. And I'm not surprised. He led a brigade to steal more excavators, most of the excavators, and other products. The other products are the gold that has been processed and seized. So dismissing him is not enough, because he has caused a criminal case by allowing, not following the law, for people to take advantage of his actions to rob this nation of several millions of dollars. And therefore, he must be dismissed, and prosecution should be should commence, so that it will serve as a deterrent to others. That is why the president didn't take any action, and even those that are brought here, we have still found out that 8 of them are missing, because no action was taken, and the president do not care. And that is a cause for worry.
His removal, does it speak to admission of culpability on the part of the appointing authority? But we're told he was innocent. The fact that he's been removed as chairman to that committee.
Everybody in Ghana knows that he wasn't innocent. But the tape that leaked out, we all know that he wasn't innocent. 2, he has a mining company. Yes, I have the documents. Yeah, small-scale mining. He has a company. And if you ask such a person to lead in the fight against Galamsey, it is an advantage for him to make money out of it. And therefore, saying that he's not culpable, I don't think so. He's the leader of the brigade, and he will continue to be. Ghanaians are not fools. We follow what goes on. And in the tape, you realize that even the General Secretary, Bodu, is part of it, and many other government officials and party bigwigs like Wuntumi, the regional chairman of MPP in the Asante region. And as I'm talking now, illegal mining is still going on. I've monitored it. And soon we will expose what is still going on, because we'll be carrying out visits to those areas and bring it public for everybody to see.
And following that formal statement from government, we do know that Mr. Asomachrem has formally taken over from Professor Frimpong Boateng as the chair for the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. Now, moving on, the Tourism Minister, Barbara Oting-Gyesi, says the impact assessment of the coronavirus pandemic by the Ghana Tourism Authority so far undertaken has revealed that the hospitality industry is likely to lose in excess over $130 million in the formal sector and $41 million in the informal one, spanning a period of some 5 months. Speaking at a meeting which brought together members of Ghana Hoteliers Association, the Tour Operators Association of Ghana, tour guides, car rentals associations, and more, she assured them that her outfit will support them during the difficult times of COVID-19. Maxwell Agbagba sat through the meeting.
I'm at the Plush Kempinski Hotel. The lobby looks empty with no activity, not even guests. The situation here at the Kempinski Hotel mirrors what is happening across the length and breadth of the country and even globally as the COVID-19 continue to wreak havoc and many people indoors with airport doors shut. The hospitality industry is bearing the brunt. Well, at the stakeholders meeting today, the president of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Akanyemeke, called for a stimulus package for players in the hospitality industry who are hardly hit by this global pandemic.
As we speak now, the hotels are doing averagely about 10%, 15% occupancy, and that is indeed a big blow to the industry. Dollars, of course, yes. It runs into millions of dollars. Coming to today's meeting, I was hoping to hear what government has planned for us in terms of the stimulus package. We are asking for suspensions of some of the taxes that we pay and some of the license fees that we pay. We are asking for some discount on even the utility bills. We are asking for some support to pay the salaries of our staff, because we will have no choice but to lay off a lot of the staff. If not this month, most of them go to this month.
One thing we found at many of the hotels that we visited are hand sanitizers, and they are here on all the tables at the Kempinski Hotel. President of the Tour Operators Association of Ghana and CEO of Pacific Tours, P.C. Aisen, says majority of Ghana's tourist sites have been closed as a result of the COVID-19. He says their business has come to a screeching halt.
Kakum National Park is shut. The castles and forts are no longer working. A lot of the tourist attractions, as we've just mentioned, are also not working. The resorts are not working. And as you already know, the borders are closed. So typically we are not getting inbound tours.
My name is Tiabu Okran. I am the president of the Car Rental Association of Ghana and the CEO of Just Rent a Car. The social distancing, cancellation of, the airlines, closure of the borders and all this thing. Our business thrives on movement of people. Therefore, when there is no movement of people, immediately we are affected.
It's not just the lobby here at the Kempinski Hotel, which is empty. The poolside also has not seen any activity today. Well, the tourism minister, Barbara Oting-Gyesi, says initial assessments have revealed that hotels in Ghana have lost millions of dollars within this COVID-19 period. She promised to facilitate a meeting between the owners and President Akufo-Addo to make sure that there is some package to cushion them.
From information that I have from the Ghana Tourism Authority, the initial assessment that has been done indicates that the industry is going to have a downtime of close to about 5 months, which is going to result in revenue losses of about $130 million for the formal sector and about $41 million for the informal sector. We'll also try and get audience to engage with His Excellency the President on whatever proposal that we develop, so that we can get government support for the industry.
Oh, Maxwell Agbagba with that report. What a way for us to wrap up the news by giving you the latest update on what really is happening in relation to the numbers, all the statistics on the coronavirus infection. And currently, the worldwide figure is some 470,000. We'll go through the countries, at least singly. Before we do that, though, the fatality so far, 21,000 in excess. And then seem to be some glimmer of hope. Out of this 470,000, we do have at least 110,000 of them, or even 114,000 of them recovering, and we're hoping that these numbers could inch up, but then it speaks, it's just 1/4 of the worldwide figures. So far, currently infected active cases, we do have 335,000 worldwide, and 14,000 of them, just forming about 4%, are in critical condition. But if you get to monitor the news, it shows that even some of the topmost personalities, rulers or political elite of the world seem to be among the 14,000, so to speak. But those who seem to have some moderate to mild conditions from about 96,000, and that translates to about 321,000 in the numbers. Okay, now let's just take you to country. Let's go up and look at some of the country figures, and this is where you get to know which country is still leading. China seemed to have recovered so well. The number of new cases just reducing by the day. As at yesterday, 24 hours ago, it was around 48 or so. They just recorded about 67 plus cases, and so they're not recording many new cases. So too are they not recording new deaths in the numbers that were commensurate to the situation in January and February. And that's good news for China because it's enabled China to be able to donate as well as export, if not assist with its personnel who had been at the front line of the viral infection, to be able to help other related countries like Italy, which has a case of some 74,000. It keeps rising because the fatalities are high there. The United States of America now is a very big concern for the Trump administration. The numbers are increasing. There's a lockdown for New York, at least when it comes to movement out of the state. And the numbers that the United States of America is recording is in excess of some 68,000. This is real-time data. The concern for the administration of Trump is that the new cases also keep rising, even though the fatalities seem to be reducing. So we have 278 new cases, but this is better than what it used to be, even though we've had at least 1,000 deaths so far recorded. But among all these cases of some 68,000, only 394 have totally recovered, because we do know those in serious condition are just around 1,400 as well. But this seems to have overwhelmed the country. But other parts of the world, the topmost countries also tend to form the G20, so to speak, and they are currently meeting today to make sure that they find some resolution, some critical effort that will be put together to make sure that that is done. And Spain, Germany, France, Switzerland, sandwich in between them we have Iran, of course, which is not part of the G20, logically. And Iran has recorded 27,000. Now, this situation is better than what it used to be some few weeks ago. And they have had some help, Iran, from China as well. And if you come to the UK, they have total cases of some just 9,529. Even for the Boris Johnson administration, there's a big concern for them, and that is why in part of central London, part of the extensive outlets of the metropolitan area of London, they've been able to put in place measures to make sure that they are able to control the movement of people and keep the education going, just like we're doing in Ghana about cluster meetings, people meeting together, etc. Let's try and move up and see which other countries. Let's move up. And so if we stop here, you get to find that from the top to about 2030, there are countries in Europe and even the developed ones, or the top most developed ones in Latin America, seem to have been affected. So we have Austria, Belgium, Canada, Norway, Portugal, Australia, Sweden, Turkey, all affected. Brazil is also affected, and Israel. That speaks volumes about the type of cases that are being recorded in the world. Well, we'll give you more updates about the Ghana situation. We'll do that all next, but we have to review a couple of the newspapers we do have in the studio. Again, make sure that you use your sanitizers and always do what you have to do right by way of checking yourself, monitoring your temperature, and if you feel that you have also been exposed to somebody who could have been infected, etc., make sure you get the critical medical assistance. But in the meantime, we have to take a break. When we come back, myself and Mama Viuso Abuaje will give you the latest update on publications in the dailies. Do stay on. Well, Mama V's here, looking exquisite on a Corona day. How are you?
Oh, I'm blessed. I'm good.
Yeah,
How are you?
Yeah, Charlie, no busy. You know, sometimes you keep hearing the cases and etc. I know it's a bit unfortunate, but the thing is, Nigeria has a situation where its officials, even as of last week or 2 weeks ago, decided to travel to the top most infected countries. And these top government officials and senators or governors came, they didn't self-isolate. How they did that, I can still understand.
Yeah.
But that's the
now the chief of staff tested positive for the virus, and there are calls for Abuja to be locked down in view of that.
And even Lagos, but the concern is how big Lagos and the populated it is.
Yeah, I mean it's just that I think most people have been very irresponsible. And we simply thought that this won't get here, because how could you travel, return last week and not self-isolate? I mean, that should be a personal responsibility considering what is happening in the world, really. I mean, I was monitoring the news, and when we get to, after my Joe Online, we'll try and see if we can do a quick trip around so that we can appreciate how countries such as Italy is trying to maintain that order in terms of the lockdown, because there are still people who are trying to defy, and now they're having to fly choppers around to check to see if people are still out there. There are people out there carrying the virus and just, you know, going about as if everything is normal.
In Ghana, I was just having a related chat before we came on air with a friend of mine who works with an education charity, almost like a donor-funded charity. They do a lot of, and they work outside Accra, Wellington in Penyansa, Amankwa in Penyansa. And he was saying that it looks like people just are not taking the precautions in country as they should. People still gather and have a drink together, while we also keep educating that, look, we need to make sure we observe related issues of self-distancing, working away from the office if you can, and use all the tools that are necessary so that you don't tend to aggregate or congregate together.
Absolutely. All right, let's do the newspapers. Let's see what our papers are reporting today in our country. The Daily Graphic newspaper front page, mighty contract COVID-19. It's got pictures of Prince Charles and actor Idris Elba. Nation seeks divine intervention over COVID-19. There's the Most Reverend John Bonaventure Kofi, Archbishop of Accra, and the Reverend Professor Joseph Obri Yeboah Mante, all on the front page of the paper. Voter registration suspended. That's the news from yesterday's IPAC meeting. We know some of the parties also walked out before the meeting even ended. Help arise for COVID-19 battle. Jack Ma fulfills pledge. This was first reported on Joe News, where we took you live to the Kotoka International Airport, courtesy the head of our health desk, Fred Smith. And Jack Ma has actually donated to almost all the European countries in crisis today, and the US as well. We got our bits yesterday, you know, Ethiopia bringing it down to us. In the center spread of the paper, allow ships to access your ports. UNCTAD makes this appeal. It says the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development has appealed to governments in countries affected by the COVID-19 pandemic to allow commercial ships to have access to their respective ports. According to Secretary General of UNCTAD, it was important to keep the supply chain space open by allowing maritime trade and cross-border transport to thrive, even as efforts were being made to find a cure for the disease. We know our borders have been closed. This includes the sea as well. What we are allowing in our cargo, you know, like, I don't know if this call, what is being described here, commercial ships, includes what we are allowing in. So we can, you know, do a quick collab with the Ghana Maritime Authority.
Well, there's good reason why cargo should be accepted. And I think that the UNCTAD call is logical, because cargo then, if you look at such vessels, they carry less number of crew. And that also works well in terms of if they have to dock at a port, and then you want to make sure that either they are quarantined or you're able to monitor them health-wise.
We should put this too. So in the course of this program. Also, UENR Council urged to be nationalistic in outlook. That's the Governing Council of the University of Energy and Natural Resources. MP staff to self-quarantine, not punishment, according to Speaker. And I think a group of people that should understand this language, you know, we shouldn't even have to explain, will be members of parliament. I don't think anybody, is anybody thinking self-quarantine is a form of punishment? That would be unfortunate, especially if it is coming from parliament. Back page of the Daily Graphic, ban on used clothing to be strictly enforced. According to Professor Alex Dodu, the Ghana Standards Authority is with immediate effect going all out to enforce the ban on the sale of second-hand clothing, including bra panties. The Director General of the authority has indicated. Rains in Kumasi, Tamale expose metropolises to waste materials. It's not just Kumasi and Tamale, it's Accra, pretty much a lot of the places, not the entire country by the way, but certainly Accra as well. Let's do the Ghanaian Times newspaper, front page of the Times. Jack Ma's test kits, PPEs arrive. Government takes delivery of 20,000 test kits, 1,000 PPEs, and 100,000 masks. GMA calls for nationwide lockdown to contain COVID-19. But if you check with a virologist in Kumasi, Mr. Michael Owusu, who says this call is misplaced. Dr. Michael Owusu is a virologist with the Kumasi Center for Research into Tropical Medicine.
And he says
that this approach is wrong. This approach where the Ghana Medical Association is calling for a nationwide lockdown to contain COVID-19 is wrong. Dr. Awal presents items to constituencies to combat COVID-19. Ghana records 68 cases, one more death. It brings to 4 the deaths that we've recorded. What it is husband of a woman who passed yesterday, we're told overnight, unfortunately also couldn't survive. And that's why the number has shot up to 4. But this is reliably from the head of our health desk. In the center spread, woman 35 nabbed for swindling 30 people. And then, okay, so details of what we received from Jack Ma in our situation in terms of the number of cases that we've recorded. On the back page, rainstorm renders more than 200 residents homeless in Bembela. STMA, that's the Sekondi Takoradi Metropolitan Assembly, closed down unfit public toilets and bath houses. Let's do the Daily Statesman. Front page of the Statesman, pressure mounts on government to lock down country. Impending voters registration on hold. EC to come out with new dates. Parliament bans visitors as Speaker orders non-essential staff to go on leave. My last paper is the Business Finder. Front page of the Business Finder. Universal QR code proxy pay launched to enhance digitized payments. Stimulus packages, ICU cautions government we should just take a look at what's happening in the U.S. Both sides have agreed as a bipartisan stimulus package. They came up with one that has never been heard in the U.S. It's $2 trillion. GCB Bank introduces wallet limits on G-Money service. Okay. COVID-19, Ghana needs 15 billion Ghana cedis for months lockdown. We need 15 billion for a month lockdown. Okay. After you, we'll try and see where these figures are coming from. Roland, I'm done.
Just wondering if we should have a lockdown, how that's possible. I think that we should hasten with some caution. We can do that maybe city by city, try to do that analysis instead of just saying a countrywide lockdown, but that's just me. People live hand to mouth too many times
That's
in
the
Ghana.
thing. That's
for
the
you
thing.
to even do identification, whether it means testing or so.
Yeah.
Because there are people who sell a stock of oranges by the day, make 5 cedis, and that's what they use in feeding the rest of the family for the rest of that evening until the next 24 hours when that lady or somebody else in the family would have to make some money for it.
Yeah.
And that is our state, okay? And that's the reality.
That's why we talk about homegrown policy. I remember when it has to do with the economy, we're quick to say that. This is also another area because there are things peculiar to us. Other people can afford to. Are you assured that you will have uninterrupted water running through your taps? Can you survive if nothing is moving around? Can you survive? Can we be assured that there's electricity? And I'm even talking about the big things. For some people, these are big things. These are not even the things they are looking for. Roland, don't open that sanitizer. Put it down. Put it down.
And even that speaks volumes about the related issues about how we need to empower those that we have in manufacturing, etc. You see, Casa Precom, they came in with this.
Yeah.
So if we have 10 more of them who could quickly improvise at a time when we need emergencies.
I think I've seen about maybe 5 who have registered with the FDA. I just can't remember their names.
So for example, in the war times, we had Hugo Boss, Coca-Cola Company, etc., providing drinks for soldiers, etc., and even churning out or turning their production lines into gun manufacturing firms, etc., for the war effort in America, in the UK, etc. That is what we call when you have to empower businesses, entrepreneurs to be able to do what they have to do. If we had many of them in our country, we will then call for these donations from them and they'll donate so many times. Now, we have firms that are operating, they have to get approvals from somewhere in the UK or London, in New York, in South Africa, before they come to tell their country companies that, look, okay, maybe donate $1 million. But if it was ours, then we will know that, look, this company A says this is the decision I can't take. Because then that company doesn't need, even though it's an international company, doesn't need to go consult another boss somewhere else. You know, and
the decision can be taken right
and
here.
And that is what we call homegrown policy.
This is a homegrown,
this is homegrown policy.
This is definitely,
we have
this is not their core business.
Zoom Lion helping, we have Tobinco. You know, we need many of them.
There's Dana Dams. There's Kena Pharma also producing, actually.
There's one on the Spintex Road, for example. You know, Dana Dams, and we need more of them.
We just don't have enough of them. We don't have enough
we
of
have
them.
To
I know NS Chemist is also producing the sanitizer.
Oh, no, anyway, so let's go to the Daily Guide. Daily Guide has on the front page, lockdown now. Doctors urge Nana COVID-19 infects 68, 3 dead. Medical supplies arrive. And also on the front page, well, COVID-19 compelling institutions to take drastic decisions. The Electoral Commission, adamant until now, says it is postponing new register dates. The thing is, the big countries haven't even recovered yet to come and help us. So we'll see how it goes. Ex-NCA board member discharged from a court case. Up there, we have Parliament tells staff to go home. Way to go. Don't know why they were meeting. They need to do virtual meetings. I mean, that's the reality of the times.
I think it's also exposed how very little we do with digitization. I mean, we hear it being spoken, but we don't practice it. That's why we're also here. Because you know is it the G7, G20? There's a meeting, G20.
They're meeting
and it's
today.
they're not physically meeting in one room.
They won't.
They're not.
They won't even try it.
Yeah.
Because taking a flight is so dangerous to any of them. They don't know whether it's the cabin crew, the pilot, etc. who could be infected, or they themselves could infect somebody else. As a whole point. But they're meeting because they're in trouble, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, when you're in trouble, that's where leadership matters the most. You have to take strong decisions.
I agree. Yeah. Let's go to the back page of the Daily Guide. Has the stories, Zachariasen is blasting the management of Kotoko. Has an inserted picture of Yetel Zachariasen. Messi, Pep fight COVID-19. Down there, Ronaldo better than Messi, but I am the best. And the good old
The
Pelé.
best in what? Advocacy or fundraising? What are they talking about now?
They're talking football. Talking football, with the one with the best skills. And the thing about Pelé is that television and the internet and technology was not widespread, so information flow about his footballing skills could only be gotten today from old videos.
Oh
but I'm thinking if he also had the same regime of the way the footballers train, have enough rest, etc. Because even the rules of football at the time were different.
Roland is better than a call, but I am the best.
Let's go to the Dispatch. The Dispatch is mirroring what is happening on the front pages of many of the newspapers. So the Dispatch says EC postpones new voter exercise. Front page of the Dispatch. We also do have Eastern housing conditions in Upper West, East and Bono half regions. Dr. Stella Kufuado declare nationwide lockdown, even though there's a virologist who has distanced himself from this, says, look, we need to hasten with some caution. Social distancing in COVID-19 battle. Trotros to carry to parole. And that's what we need as far as the decisions that need to be taken. Let's go to the Business and Financial Times. This is how the front page looks like. Together we shall weather the storm. And Baumia says time to push digital transactions is now okay. Dr. Owal, meanwhile, is supporting 7 constituencies in COVID-19 fight, and banks will remain cautious despite NPLs declining non-performing loans. Mamavi.
Yes.
I'm being told you virtually want to go to Spain.
I do want to go to Spain. I mean, it's really disturbing what's happening there. We want to give you a bit of understanding because in terms of the numbers recorded, the deaths recorded, we're told that Spain has surpassed China. Also, the WHO boss also spoke. This is his latest speech. We want to bring them these two events coming to you, and then we'll give you a wrap of what's happening in the U.S. So here we go with the situation in Spain. Mr. Gabriel is there. That's the WHO head. So I guess for those of us, we've been playing with should we lock down, should we not lock down? That's the World Health Organization with very important key points for countries that have recorded less than 100 or 100 cases right there. There's not much we can add.
And we have to conclude by saying that if you look at what the state of the World Health Organization's commentary has been and the directive, it has been changing almost every week since January. And if you look at the communication also, for example, on our part, from the Minister for Information especially, through to the Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Information, they've also reiterated that and said they keep changing the guidelines, so we also change accordingly. And I'm hoping that they'll take the right decisions on our behalf.
Okay, so for those of you who keep asking for the sanitizer, I've got a number for you to text if you want some of the sanitizer. It's 020-910-4551. 020-910-4551. If you're looking and you aren't getting, kindly text this number. We'll bring you sports. There's a big decision to be made in the world of tennis as well sometime next week. Benedict will bring us all the big conversations happening in the world of sports.
And what you see by way of the public education video that has just been sent to you, even not broadcast to you, is all because we do have guidelines that have trickled down. First, the WHO having these guidelines adopted by various health services, if not authorities. And in Ghana, the Ghana Health Service and then the Ministry of Health or the Ministry for Health, they have been in a position to be able to disseminate this type of information, but also available on the internet and also on YouTube. Talking about YouTube, you can always watch us live through Major Online TV, but also as we're on the DTT now, we're free to air. But in the meantime also, related to all these conversations about how we need to use these sanitizers, the food that we eat, etc., we're coming to have a string of conversations on the subject. Now let's tell you about how Ghana's case now is said to be at a locked number of 68 amid calls for a total lockdown. But how we tend to not only congregate or aggregate at meetings, etc., will be a main thing we have to discuss. And how we handle food, etc., is important. For example, we're told that sanitizers should always be on us. We carry it in our bags with us so that we tend to use them. And since this outbreak, we've seen a number of sanitizers on the Ghanaian markets. The question then we started asking was, are these sanitizers, many of them homemade or perhaps made by small startups, effective or efficacious? So we do know there's been a survey or research done by a UDS microbiology department, and we're going to speak to one of the lead researchers to get to know what their findings were, how we can relate their survey report or their findings to what is existing on the markets. And Dr. Courage Saba is going to join us. He's a microbiologist. And thank you for joining me, Dr. Saba. How are you?
I'm fine. And you?
I'm great too.
And,
okay.
Yeah, good morning to your listeners as well. Good morning to you.
Now, Dr. Saba, if we take a look at the states on the use of sanitizers, generally, what should be the norm? What should be the right mix of a sanitizer in the first place, before we even get to go into your research?
Yeah. So the WHO has a recommendation, several recommendations of the ingredients that must be used for sanitizers, because we don't have all ingredients at the right quantities in every country. So they have a lot of mixture of ingredients. So based on that, the major ingredient or active ingredient in the hand sanitizers should be alcohol, which is 70% and above. In some countries, they'll say 65%, but 70% and above of alcohol is the major thing that must be in the hand sanitizer.
Mm. And you decided, your department, you call your department the microbiology department? That's the name?
It's biotechnology department. Department of Biotechnology.
The Department of Biotechnology of UDS. Okay. So what then might have interested you for you to decide that you wanted to undertake this observation or survey?
Yeah, but we all know the situation currently. And since the president and other bodies call for the massive production of hand sanitizers in the country. And since then, a lot of people have been trying to produce their own hand sanitizers at home, and people are diluting alcohol, people are mixing things without knowing the right percentage of alcohol they are using for the production, and even they don't know the right percentage of alcohol after the final product, which is very, very crucial to killing this virus. So we as a department, we thought that we should carry out something to also to carry out this research to also help Ghanaians realize the most effective sanitizers and also recommend to all the authorities involved to take action so that we'll be able to have the very, very good sanitizers, which will be able to kill the virus and other microorganisms on our hands.
Mm. And subsequently, you found out some interesting results. What were they?
Yeah, so in line with that, we sample hand sanitizers, alcohol-based hand sanitizers from 5 cities in the country, from Koforidua, Kumasi, Accra, Tamale, and Bolgatanga. In all, we sampled 28 different brands of sanitizers. Then we also add local akweteshi that they sell in the bars of Tamale, 6 bars. Then we also included 6 alcoholic beverages. That at times they add even roots of trees and the rest, so that we'll be able to find out whether these things really have activity against microbes. On the sanitizers, out of the 28 sanitizers, different brands that we took, we realized that 54% did not have activity against microorganisms at all. We found that 43% had very little activity against microbes. And 3%, only 3% of the sanitizers were very, very, very effective. And I must also tell you that we didn't just do this in the lab. We went further to swab the hands of 50 people using hand sanitizers. What we did was to ask them whether they use sanitizers. Then on the spot, we asked them to use the sanitizers, how they use it, how they normally use it. Then we swab their hands just to see whether after the usage of the sanitizers, there will still be microbes on their hands. Mind you, we did this and we had, out of the 50, we had microorganisms on 49 of those people who used the hand sanitizers immediately after just 5 seconds, then we swab. They all had microbes. And there was one that we didn't find any microbe. What we realized was that that person was using one sanitizer that was very, very effective in vitro, that's in the lab, what we conducted. And that resulted in activity on the person's hand. That means that sanitizer is really very, very effective, at least against the test organisms we use for our experiment. I must also say that there are a lot of factors that come into play when you are using even sanitizers on your hand. Sanitizers, generally, they last for only 2 minutes on your hand. Alcohol-based sanitizers, they last for only 2 minutes on your hand after usage. So if after 2 minutes you still can't touch anything, you have to apply the sanitizers.
Okay,
because people think when they use the sanitizer, they can stay for maybe 1 hour before they use it again. But that is not true. Once you touch another thing, there is a likelihood of microbe stain on your hand, because it is very, very effective only after within 2 minutes on your hand. That will kill the microbes within 2 minutes.
Now, so your advice then is that because the sanitizers and the efficacy would always stay on your hands only within the period of 2 minutes, you would always then need, if you have touched surfaces, interacted with people, etc., to keep using them. In an hour, it means that approximately you're expected to use it about 30 times, if not just a little less.
Yeah, if you are touching a lot of things. If you touch, yes, you probably might have contaminated your hands with microbes. But if you do it and you don't touch anything, definitely you may not have anything on your hand.
What then can we do by way of remedy, knowing that we're in dire straits? People need to improvise. So, for example, we have companies producing Danadams, Kasapreko, etc., all trying to improvise their production lines and produce. But you go outward Accra, outside the boundaries of Accra, Kumasi, etc., people living in areas like Cape Coast, Takoradi, living in Tamale, living in Wa, etc., and the other communities, if not the nook and cranny of Ghana, would need sanitizers. People would need to improvise. Startups would need to do that. What would be your best advice by way of the mix?
Okay, thank you very much. I forgot about the results from the Akpetishi and the local genes that we also tested. I must say that they were not active against microbes at all. They didn't kill microbes at all, not effective. So the Akpetishi and the local genes that we have packaged in sachet, they are not killing microbes at all. I said it because Takoradi, I learned there is a shortage of alcohol there because of lack of sanitizers. Now, getting to my recommendation, we need to first know the composition or the percentage of alcohol in the ethanol we are using, because if we don't get the right percentage, there is a likelihood that the calculation may not be done well, because, for instance, those producing this, some of them cannot do calculations, they may not do simple calculations. So my advice is that we have this gadget that is called alcohol meter. Alcohol meter is almost $12, which I even ordered for $12, that you can use to check the percentages, various percentages of alcohol in the ethanol being used.
Okay.
So moving forward, we can obtain this alcohol meter for all our regional offices. I don't know whether they have all our regional offices of FDA, so that at least they use this to test the alcohol before even approving the producers, and also check the final product and make sure that they have 70% of alcohol in their final product. It is not very difficult. It is not very difficult. If we make sure that the alcohol we have is 70%, fine. And I must also say that people are putting on their labels that their sanitizers can kill 99.9% of microorganisms. Please, if they have not done any calculation, they better don't state that, because currently, as we stand, there are companies in the US that are being sued for putting that on their label.
Okay. We know the feed is going a little bad, but
because they are deceiving the general public than any calculation.
Was it? Well, we have some poor connection. But Dr. Saba, we will come back to you. But look, let's get on to the phone lines because Dr. Saba is still online. Well, we will get back to him. But we decided to get into this conversation with the FDA because the FDA, that's the Food and Drugs Authority, they supervise, regulate, they check the content of these sanitizers on the market. So Emmanuel Nkrumah, he is head of the cosmetics department. Mr. Nkrumah, good morning and thank you for joining me. But when it comes to the sanitizers, what processes do you go through? What kind of regulatory regimes do you go through before their approval?
Okay, good morning, and I want to greet all our listeners. Thank you for the opportunity. When sanitizers are classified as household chemical substances, and when an application I mean the form for the product, the samples of the product, the label, and then the requisite fee are paid. And when it's submitted to the FDA, then samples of the product are sent to our quality control laboratory, which is ISO accredited. And when the results come from the laboratory, that is when the label assessment, if there's a correspondence or correlation, that's when the product is approval. So as we talk, all the products for the past 2 weeks, about 80 locally manufactured products, mostly, that were approved or that's been approved, have gone through this process to assess the quality, safety, and efficacy of this product for was given.
So does it mean that it is because your approval processes are rigorous, so perhaps it discourages producers, and especially in times like this when many startups are producing because the demand is high, from going through these processes to get the right sort of combinations by way of the chemical compositions for approval?
Thank you. That's been accurate. As we talk, because of the emergency and the crisis situation that we find ourselves, we realize that with the COVID-19 announcement of now, sanitizer, there was a shortage of the market because of the mad rush of people to get hold of these products and use it to protect themselves. But as part of the measure of the FDA to help save the situation, there has been an emergency meeting, and the FDA has a COVID-19 committee that is assessing and processing all applications that are submitted to mitigate the COVID-19 situation. And for the sanitizer, we have 24 hours, maximum 48 hours to process this application. So for products in even the household category, almost all the products are on hold, and everything is now geared towards the processing of applications for sanitizers, disinfectants, and the like. So there's not been any delay in this process, and we are constantly informing manufacturers to even produce more of these products so that a lot of them will be on the market. And we are also sampling products from the market, and the ones that are not registered, what we are doing is to call the manufacturer, because if they are trying to put something out there to help the situation, you don't stop them. We pick the samples, we analyze them, then we encourage them to come submit the application forms, make payments, so that more of these products will be put on the market for Ghanaians to have access to them to protect themselves.
What would be your best advice? Because we just spoke to a microbiologist with the biotechnology department of UDS, the Nyakpala campus, and Dr. Saba is saying that it looks like the demand has also meant that people would need these sanitizers outside the main capitals we have, Accra, Kumasi, and let's say Tema, etc. And so how would you then assist these startups to be able to get the things right, instead of just saying that the applications are rejected?
Thank you, my brother. No application is being rejected. People are rather encouraged to be producing or putting more of these products on the market. And the applications that we've received for the past 10 days or more, it cuts across the entire country. We have products coming from the north, Tamale, Upper East, Upper West, the North region, Ashanti region, all over the country. And as I talk to you, from last week Monday up till yesterday, more than 80 new products have been approved. And anytime we approve them, we update the list. And this list is all over on the social media. And majority of these products are locally manufactured. That's the exciting thing to know. So our local manufacturers are putting these products on the market. So there's nothing like shortage. And if I have seen the publication that's been out there by Honorable Professor or Doctor from the UDF, you see, this document, I must say, is really inaccurate. And rather than, encouraging people to do what is right, yes, it's in his right to put a document like this. But when you do that, it has to be accurate and it has to be the truth, so that we don't put that into the eyes of Ghanaians. You see, the objectives of this document indicates that they are determining the bactericidal activity of alcohol-based sanitizers and septic and the like on the Ghanaian market. Now we are very critical because the alcohol content also determines how it's going to sanitize the hands and also prevents the bacterial growth. And from the next one, it's also to check that a registered alcohol-based sanitizer and antiseptic on the market. You see, FDA has that mandate to do that. And if you want to check, we have a list that we publish as and when these products are approved. And these products are also on the market.
Right.
So you don't check with the FDA, then you put that out. And the first point, if I go back to the first point, that assessment of determining the bactericidal activity, normally there are protocols that one has to follow. How the sampling is done, where it was done, and when it was done. Right? What sample size did you use? What media did you use? The strain organism. Right? Whether this strain is characterized to specifically indicate that this particular organism will exhibit this characteristics and not maybe another organism that's giving you a false result, right? The media that you use, what was the sterilization process? Because if it's not properly sterilized, you have other organisms which are not expected growing from the media. You see, and the media, the result that you get, what is the inhibition zone, right? And what devices were used to assess or calculate or take up the result from what you are getting. You see, these are all things that you ask. And before you put out a document like that, there has to be a peer-reviewed document. All these questions are answered so that it becomes relevant to all of us. Then we take a cue from it. Because all that we are doing is to the best interest of the Ghanaian people, to protect ourselves, so that we can go around to do what we have to do in the interest of God and country. So some of these documents, yes, they are good, but it has to be shared with the relevant authorities so that input will be made, so that there are no loopholes and the like.
Right.
And if you talk of the fee, let me add this one as well. Hold on, let me add this one as well. The fee is not expensive. With the majority of the application coming in, we put them into the quoted category. And the registration fee is 3 years, and it's 300 cedis. But to facilitate, we are registering for the first year, and the fee we are taking is just 100 cedis.
Oh, fantastic. Ms. Nkrumah, I love this part of the education you're giving us, and we all need to complement the state and the media's education as well. So, again, just to clarify, you're saying that so far you have about 80 applications, don't you? You said so far you have 80 applications, don't you? Okay.
Hello?
You said so far you have 80 applications or have approved 80.
No, we have approved 80 plus. It's more than 80.
Wow. Wow.
Because as we talk, our database currently has over 100 hand sanitizers with the right alcohol content. It's ethanol. If the minimum is 80% ethanol, and if it's isopropyl alcohol, the minimum is 70% isopropyl alcohol. Yes, and I must also emphasize, people should also desist from using methanol and methylated spirit as sanitizers. They are not made to do that. So it's a petition. Because methylated spirit is not supposed to be ingested. It doesn't have to go into the mouth. It's very dangerous and very toxic.
Right. Well, thank you very much. This conversation has been immense by way of the great knowledge so far we've been able to deliver to our viewers. But we have to thank you, Mr. Emmanuel Nkrumah, Head of Cosmetics Department, the Food and Drugs Authority. They are the main regulatory agency. And then from the Biotechnology Department of the University of Development Studies, microbiologist, Dr. Courage Saba, also sharing his research findings and his thoughts on the state of sanitizer. But it's good that the FDA is doing what it's doing. But we also do know that the counterparts in South Africa have been doing some great work. Now, talking about South Africa, we have to take you through, the cases that they have. We'll go to a state. As at the beginning of March, they almost had, barely 10 cases. And they've climbed up by the 25th in the region of close to 800, above the 700 mark. It speaks to how serious the coronavirus infection is. And we also do know just about 2-3 days ago, we had Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, calling for that total lockdown. And it means that we have what it is. 17th of March, first confirmed cases of local transmission were announced by government laboratories in Gauteng, 3 in KwaZulu-Natal and 1 in Western Cape. And then also before then, we had a number of cases. Initially, just like many of the related countries in Africa, many of the cases were coming from outbound. They were coming from not those countries, but from the infected countries in Asia, in Europe, and coming into Africa. And there's the same situation that South Africa also recorded. And now this is the situation they have. As at today, they have 709. Look. The president, on March 23, Ramaphosa, addressed the nation and announced a 21-day lockdown, effective midnight of today. And this will go on to April 16. It will mean that there will be the deployment of South African National Defense Forces to support government in this crackdown. And if they tend to regulate, it would mean that there will be times when people will be asked to go out, etc., or do their grocery shoppings and all. And if you're flouting those regulations, some punitive measures will come towards you. We had our own correspondent, our friend in South Africa. He is the editor of The Guardian and Mail newspapers, and he has been helping us to analyze the South African situation. And Simon Allison is here. Simon, how are you? And good morning. How do you feel yourself? What's your state of health? I have to first ask.
Good morning. I am fine. I'm in good health. Thank you for asking. I have actually just returned from the grocery store myself. And it was quite a surreal experience because although people have been told not to panic buy, and I think it's fair to say that most people are not panic buying per se, but they are stocking up. We've been told there will be this lockdown for 21 days. Of course, people are nervous. They want to make sure they have essential supplies. And so there are long queues of people waiting outside the supermarkets. And most supermarkets are enforcing one person has to leave before the next person is allowed in. And there are limits on certain essential items, such as, rice and pasta and that kind of thing. People can buy 3 at a time. These are informal limits set by supermarkets, not regulated at this point. And people are generally pretty nervous. The economic implications of this shutdown are going to be incredibly severe for the country. And I think everyone's worried for their livelihood. They're worried about what comes after the 21 days. So it is an atmosphere of uncertainty and nervousness. At the same time, I think South Africans are generally quite relieved to see their leadership taking such severe and quick action to confront this coronavirus pandemic. And certainly the leadership in South Africa seems to be a level above what we are seeing in other parts of the world.
But is there a situation, because South Africa is, I'll say, a developed country, in a sense, comparatively, and as a result of that, this was expected? And so...
Absolutely. We knew this was coming. We have extensive international air links and close air ties with North America, with Europe, and with Asia. So, of course, we knew this was coming. And I think we are trying to prepare for it as best we can. South Africa has implemented these strict lockdown measures, which are similar to measures we've seen in Italy, in Spain, in the United Kingdom, and in certain states in the United States of America. But we've implemented them at a much earlier stage of the pandemic, of the spread of the coronavirus in the country. Cyril Ramaphosa need to get this under control to make sure it does not spread further into the rest of Africa. For the parts or the cities of South Africa, or the big areas that tend to look like Europe, the United States, China, etc., where we have proper demarcation of buildings, people live structurally, they are better demarcated. It looks like health officials will have no difficulties. Where they would have will be the slums, right? And is that a worry for the health officials and even you as a journalist, based on your observation? Absolutely. It is a huge worry. South Africa is one of the most unequal societies in the world. And generally speaking, if you are wealthy in South Africa, you can get all your needs looked after. And I think that there is certainly a perception amongst more well-off South Africans that they will not be affected by this virus. I think that is a mistaken perception, because as we've seen, the virus can hit well-off countries and no one is safe. But certainly health officials in South Africa are extremely worried about what happens if and when the coronavirus reaches informal settlements, which are much more densely packed and where it is very difficult for people to self-isolate because of their socioeconomic conditions. And I think that is partly why this crackdown is so severe. It is an attempt to prevent it from reaching informal settlements, to prevent it from reaching rural areas where healthcare is not so good, and to nip it in the bud before it gets there. And I think we're only going to see in sort of 21 days whether these actions have been quick enough and effective enough. A lockdown, what really does it mean? What should the world be observing from the South African lockdown? It's a great question, and it's a question that ordinary South Africans are asking themselves, and I'm in a few WhatsApp groups with my friends, and we're all trying to figure out what exactly does this lockdown mean? Are we allowed to go for a run? Are we allowed to take the dogs for a walk? Are we allowed to, socialize with small groups of friends in small numbers? And there is still a lack of clarity around this. And I think that has been one of the government's flaws in its handling of the crisis. I mean, yesterday we had two ministers address the practicalities of what the lockdown means. One minister said, yes, you can go for a run, you can walk your dogs. The other minister said, absolutely not, you must be staying at home at all times. So these mixed messages are very dangerous, and I think that the government needs to get its communication strategy on the same page very quickly. But in general, at this point, I think that the main fear that South Africans have is whether the food supply chains are going to be remain intact. Are we going to? The grocery stores are open; they will be exempt from the shutdown. But are they going to have the supplies they need? Is that those supplies going to be consistent? Can we get those basic goods? And so far, industry captains and government have assured us that there are no issues with supply chains and business will continue as per normal. And I'm just reading from your paper, the newspaper that you edit, and it's very simple. And this is The Guardian.
And it says, I'm reading this to you, Simon. It says health workers, emergency personnel and security services will be allowed to work, while soldiers will be deployed to patrol the streets in support of the police. Now, if I take a situation like that, it will mean that a total curfew. Is that the situation, just like the way your newspaper paints it, what we expect to see from today?
This is what the president announced. You know, these are the measures he said, and we're trying to figure out exactly what this means. My suspicion is, yes, this is a total curfew. I think that the public health advice is that people should not leave their houses unless absolutely necessary, and that includes taking your dogs for a walk or going for a run. It's best for people to just stay at home and not to socialize. You know, use the 21st century technology to connect with your friends and your colleagues, etc., etc. That is certainly the intention of what the government is doing. Now we get to the practicalities. And of course, there are going to be vast numbers of people who are essential services, you know, supermarket workers, bin collectors, people involved in the production of food, people working in healthcare facilities. These are not small numbers of people. How do they get around the country? You know, public transport is mostly shut down. All our minibus taxis have been told to stay off the roads. So if you are a nurse living in an informal settlement, how do you get to the hospital? All these questions we don't really have clarity on as yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's the really difficult ones that emerge in the first few days of the lockdown. It will be trial and error. I imagine there'll be lots of errors in the first few days, but hopefully we'll get it right.
You seem to know somebody, you seem to know what will be gotten right or get to a better perspective. But I don't know whether you know Ghana or you visited Ghana before. You use, let me borrow from your lexicon. You said informal settlement. That would mean where we have the slums, aren't they? And we have slums here in Ghana too. We call them Nima, Fadama, Sukura, and also Ashaiman and the rest. Now, they are a replica of what you find in the slums in Soweto, etc. If there are people here in Ghana calling for some lockdown of a sort, the Ghana Medical Association has issued a statement of a lockdown. Do we know what we should be preparing for?
Look, I don't know if anybody knows what this really looks like. This is an unprecedented experience in you know, living memory of humanity. We haven't been through this. This generation of people has never been through this. And so far what we've seen is lockdowns happening in highly developed countries. You know, we saw in China where it was enforced with very sophisticated technology and an authoritarian state. We've seen it in Italy and Spain and the UK, etc., where those governments are trying to enforce it and it's actually not doing a great job, because these are democracies and people think that they can do what they want. And in a case like this, these are questions we have to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
Can people do what they want?
Right.
So I think South Africa is vitally important for the rest of Africa, and frankly for all developing world countries to watch, because as you said before, we're in that sort of middle ground. We are developed in some ways, but we are less developed in other ways. And so the South African experience in places like Soweto and Alexandra, in Joburg and Khayelitsha, in Cape Town, that is going to be the experience that many slums and informal settlements, that's what's going to happen in other parts of Africa. So I think African governments and policy makers need to be watching South Africa incredibly carefully and learning from our mistakes and learning from what we do right, because this is really the test case for what's coming next.
Okay, just 10 seconds. What have you been eating to keep healthy? Just 10 seconds. 10. And I'm counting.
Well, we've stocked up on fresh produce. We've got a lot of pasta and rice, but we're hoping that the supermarkets will be open and we will keep getting fruit and veg that we need to stay healthy.
Thank you very much, Simon. And Simon Arlison is the editor for The Guardian and the Mail newspapers in South Africa. He's been helping out with some great conversations. And Simon, have a great day. We'll touch base with you again tomorrow in that same house of yours, and we'll get to know how the lockdown is going on. But I just asked a question about what you need to eat and what he is eating. And I tell you, it's our next conversation. Mama View also has got it all locked down. I think we've locked this conversation down. We're telling you what you need to eat to make sure that you build your immune systems, you know, get muscles like me, or have some good genes, etc. All coming up next. Stay with us.
So as we navigate these unprecedented times, many are wondering how to safely either buy or prepare food to minimize transmission of the novel coronavirus. Although we do not have concrete evidence regarding specific dietary factors that can reduce risk of acute infections like COVID-19, we do know, a few things. There are a few things that you can do in keeping our immune system strong. So in the face of current uncertainties, we have a dietitian, Maxwell Bisala Conlan. He's a member of the Ghana Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. He's got a few tips for all of us to learn this morning. Good morning to you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here.
Okay, great. Yeah. So first of all, I pulled out my vitamin C because it's one of the things that we have been told could boost your immune system. Alternatively, you can drink a lot of oranges or other fruits that you can get it from. So maybe we should start from that angle before we zero in into the foods proper.
Okay.
What do you make of this?
All right. So I think that with the recent outbreak of COVID-19, there have been a lot of unsubstantiated claims in the internet and all over the media space, trying to promote some specific foods that has been shown to improve, or boost the immune system. But what I would rather encourage is a healthy, balanced diet. Okay, the function of the immune system does not depend on just one particular food. It's not a one-size-that-fits all. It depends on several nutrients because there are several cells in the immune system that respond to different nutrients and help in its ability to fight infection. So vitamin C is actually one of the nutrients that is shown to improve the immune system.
Okay.
Yes, and when we go into the conversation, you realize that it's actually very important and it can help boost your immune system. However, we do not recommend the intake of, like trying to take a lot of vitamin C supplement in place of getting it from the natural whole food.
All right.
Yeah, so that same vitamin C, you can get it from the citric fruits like the oranges, the lime, tangerine, pineapple. So we encourage people to actually eat the fruit itself instead of taking the supplement. In fact, there's a lack of evidence on on people who take in supplement to be able to boost their immune system. However, in terms of immune deficiencies, then that is when there is a need to take in either vitamin C supplement or any of the other nutrients of importance that has been shown to improve the immune system.
Okay, so let's get into the conversation. Let's start with the fruits because you mentioned the lime, the oranges. Okay, keep naming them. And how many do you have to take? Somebody told me if you have to do oranges, this is tangerine. Yeah. It means you're taking about 20 of that to make up, like one tablet of the vitamin C.
Yeah, so like I said, I think the vitamin C supplement has been overhyped. You don't need 20 oranges to be able to have an equivalent of one vitamin C tablet. In fact, we don't even want people to be abusing the use of supplement because some of the supplement in high intake can cause toxicity. Example is vitamin A, which has also been shown to improve the immune system. So the recommendation for intake, the general healthy eating for intake of fruit and vegetable recommends that at least you eat about at least 5 portions of fruit and vegetables a day.
So, 5 portions?
Yes, 5 portions. A portion of fruit, like for an orange, is just one small medium orange.
Is it?
Could be a 7.
Okay.
So it means that if you are able to take 2 oranges within the day, and then you are able to end up eating other vegetables to be able to meet your 5 servings or portions of fruit and vegetables, it will be enough to help the body to improve the immune system. So it's
a myth. You don't need 20 oranges.
No.
Okay.
You don't need 20. In fact, the fruit also contains certain amount of sugars, and we are also careful because if you take excess amount of fruit in addition to your carbohydrate intake, you may end up gaining a lot of weight.
Okay.
So it's about 5 portions of fruit and vegetables a day. And the only time vitamin C supplementation may be important is when the person is at risk of nutrient deficiencies. That is the only time we recommend people to take vitamin C. However, when it comes to the food, normally we encourage a healthy, balanced diet. Like I said, the immune function does not depend on one particular food, okay? And currently up to date, since the outbreak of COVID-19, there hasn't been any research that has been done by any certified regulatory body to tell us that certain specific amount of food ingredients can actually prevent you from getting COVID-19. And also, people should be careful. Eating healthy or taking vitamin C does not mean that you cannot get the COVID-19 infection. So we encourage people to still adhere to the standard precautionary measures while we look at eating a healthy, balanced diet.
Okay.
Okay, and so that is the focus of the conversation. Though there are certain critical nutrients that may be important to improve the immune system, a healthy, balanced diet is key to sustaining and improving your immune system.
Okay.
And how do you eat a healthy, balanced diet?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I get what you're trying to tell us is take your mind off taking something just because of COVID-19 to boost your immune system and generally eat a healthy, balanced diet.
Excellent.
Okay.
That is the message. That is a key message. You don't have to actually rely on specific food ingredients or components that may be associated with improved immune system, because the immune function does not depend on one particular food ingredient, but a totality of a balanced meal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us how we move forward from here. So what should we know?
All right. So, I mean, ever since the outbreak of COVID-19, one of the main things that has come in the limelight about diet is what do people eat to protect themselves from the outbreak. And so even as we try to adhere to standard precautionary measures like hand washing, use of hand sanitizers, we need to understand that a healthy immune system can help us fight the disease. Very, very important. And you realize that most of the people who are at risk of mortality are 60 years and above. And this is simply because they may have other pre-existing conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, kidney failure that tend to lower their immune system. And so it's been well established that a strong immune system can actually help in recovery of COVID-19 patients. However, we want people to try as much as possible to still adhere to the standard precautionary measures. In terms of the food, we are looking at the Eat Well guide, okay? The
Eat Well
guide, yes. It's actually one of the food guides for UK that actually shows how people should eat healthy in times like this.
Okay.
And it's been, it came out through evidence and it's based on research. So when you look at the Eat Well guide, it comes in a plate form. It's unfortunate we don't have the picture, but it comes in a plate form. The Eat Well guide comes in a plate form.
So our director, help us. There's a guide that we need to put on the screen. Yeah. All right. Let's try and get the guide. So, but you go on. I'll let you know when we have it.
Yeah. So with the Eat Well guide, it contains a picture of a plate that has the different food groups that is showing as to how people should eat.
Is that it?
Excellent.
That's
so this is it.
Okay.
Yes. So when you look on the screen, you realize that when you look at the plate, the green portion actually contains the fruit and vegetables. So at least it means in times like this, in times of COVID-19 infection, we should try to be eating a lot of fruit and vegetables.
Okay.
You realize that you have close to about half of the portion of the plate being filled with fruit and vegetables.
Please do mention some of the foods that we see there.
Yes.
Where we have the fruits and vegetables.
Yes. So we have some banana in there. We have carrots. We have cabbage. We have tomatoes. We have other vegetables in there. So it's a whole lot of variety of different fruit and vegetables. So we should be eating about half of that per our plate, meaning you need to have about 5 to 6 servings of fruit and vegetables to be able to help improve your immune system.
Okay.
Then,
Which because we eat 3 times.
Yes.
So do you have to, must you have portions of this in each of the meals?
So yes, it should come together with your meal, or sometimes you can have it in between the meals.
Okay.
All right. But at the end of it, what is important is you should be able to meet about at least 5 servings of fruit and vegetables a day.
Okay.
And like as earlier on said, a fruit, 1 serving of a fruit is 1 medium orange. A small medium banana, it's a 7. And so if you are able to get 3 fingers of banana and you get other vegetables in place, like contomere, gardeners, by the close of the day, you would be able to meet your vegetable serving. And a serving of vegetable is a lot, okay? You need to have close to about 1 cup of raw vegetables to meet a serving of vegetable. It's not the typical 50 pesos small amount of vegetables that we'll buy. That is not enough. And in times like we encourage people to buy the vegetables at home so that they can prepare the vegetables then instead of buying it outside.
Great.
And then when you go back to the plates, aside the fruit and vegetables, going back to the plate.
Let's go back to the guide.
Yeah. So you realize that the yellow portion contains the carbohydrates, okay, which talks about our banku, our kenke, the rice and other
the
stuff.
Bread.
Yes, the bread and all that. But over there, so the portions for the day should also be about 5 to 6 servings a day. Okay, you should have about 5 to 6 servings a day. And with that, we are emphasizing that people should eat a lot more of the whole grains. Okay, whole grains means things that are not in their refined form, things that have a lot of fiber, because they tend to contain most of those micronutrients that are critical to boosting the immune system.
Okay.
So, but you realize this is typically different from a typical Ghanaian diet because we would normally eat a lot more carbohydrates than the fruit and vegetables.
In the
so when you
morning,
look at the picture clearly, you realize that we should be cutting down on our carbohydrates and allowing more of the fruit and vegetable to fit in. Okay. Then the yellow portion in there in the middle is the dairy products, okay, it has to do with the meat, lean meat, and then oily fishes. Okay, so that small portion, the yellow portion, the pyramid portion there, talks about us eating adequate amount of protein from the animal sources as well as the oily fishes. But we encourage that people should eat lean meat, meat that is not fatty.
Can you mention, because I want us to bring it home so people will know by name.
Yes, so so normally we would encourage people to eat lean meat. Lean meat means that there's no fat in it because we are discouraging people from taking excess amount of fat.
Okay, and that could be gotten from?
Yeah, it could be gotten from all animal sources, you know, but some of the animals may tend to have more fat than the others. But whatever it is, whatever meat you buy, you may have to take away all the fat from the meat.
Okay.
Okay. And
I
then
tend
go
to
for
take the skin from the chicken. Is that a good thing?
That is excellent. So that is another way to reduce the amount of fat in chicken. Once you get that out, that will be okay. All right. So with regards to the Eat Well guide, that portion is actually showing that we should be eating, some amount of lean meat, oily fishes as well, which comes from the animal proteins. Then back to the Eat Well guide, we have the blue section. The blue pyramid also talks about the dairy products, which is the milk and milk products. We typically will not do much in Ghana, but we're encouraging people to go for some dairy products, okay? And that should be about 2 to 3 servings a day. With regards to dairy products, we are advocating, or I recommend that people should go for the low-fat milk, skimmed or semi-skimmed, okay, instead of the full-fat milk, because all
the evaporated ones.
Yes, most of them will end up having a lot of fat in there. So you rather go for the skimmed or semi-skimmed milk to be able to get your dairy sources of protein. Okay. So going back to the Eat Well plate, aside the dairy products, you see there's a section that has been taken out on the far, let's say on the far left. You see that the junk foods such as biscuits, chocolate, and drinks are taken out of the plate. So
that's out of the circle.
Yes, so it shouldn't be the main focus of our diets.
Okay.
Those things should be eaten in very limited portions.
You mentioned biscuits, chocolate, so all the cookies
most of
and
the
the
sugar
sweets.
sweetened beverages are in there. Okay, so most of the sugar-sweetened beverages should be reduced in terms of consumption.
Okay.
And then on the right side, you see there's the fat and oil. It doesn't also have a way in the plate. It doesn't have a place in the plate. It's a very small portion, meaning that we should be limiting our intake of fat and oil.
I see these days we tend to use the soya bean. Is it healthier?
Yes, so soya
instead
bean,
of the vegetable oil.
Yes, so soya bean oil is actually healthy. It's one of the oils that can help, prevents the body at risk of high cholesterol. But even irrespective of the healthiness of the soya bean oil, it shouldn't still be consumed in excess amounts. So sometimes some people think that because you say the oil is healthy, then they want to put in a lot of the oil. Because fat is fat. If you consume a lot, you still end up gaining weight.
Okay,
so
we have our local oil on the screen. This is the palm nuts.
Yes, so palm nuts. Yes, so palm oil is actually also considered one of the healthy oils. However, we are encouraging people to limit its intake because it has a certain type of fats called saturated fats, which can put the body at risk of high cholesterol. That's if it's consumed in excess amount. This same palm oil is very rich in vitamin A, and vitamin A has been shown to improve the immune system, to boost the immune function. So I encourage that people eat a lot of vitamin A rich sources, including the palm oil. All right, but we need to try not to overconsume. Overconsumption will rather put the body at risk instead of improve the outcome of the body.
Okay.
Then, talking about COVID-19 and diet, there are certain specific micronutrients that has been shown to actually improve the immune system. Though we are not advocating for the intake of one particular, food or ingredient, but it's also worth mentioning the nutrients that can help the body to boost the immune system. So one of them has to do with vitamin A rich foods. Okay, vitamin A rich foods have been shown to improve immune function, and people who take in a lot of vitamin A can actually do well to fight the infection. Now, we are not saying go and buy a supplement. What we would recommend is to eat the whole food that has the vitamin A. Okay, so examples of vitamin A rich foods, like I said, our local palm oil is one of them. It has rich sources of vitamin A. You can get vitamin A from carrots. You can get vitamin A from tomatoes. You can get vitamin A from pawpaw. You can get vitamin A from watermelon. Okay, most of the fruits. Okay, so tomatoes is one of them. So most of the brightly orange colored fruits actually contains rich sources of vitamin A. Okay. So we encourage people to take in a lot of vitamin A. Apart from vitamin A, there's another, particular vitamin that can also improve the immune system, which is vitamin C, which is one of the most overhyped, and people are buying all sort of supplement, So you do not need a vitamin C supplement to be able to give you that immune function. You only need it in terms of nutrient deficiencies, established deficiencies, especially those who are aged.
Like a sick person who is recovering.
Of course, and it should be recommended either by your dietitian or a doctor. And so we are encouraging people not to go around buying all sort of supplement that has that probably may have little effect on the body instead of eating the whole food. Okay, so vitamin C, mostly you get it from the citric fruits, okay, which is orange. You can get some from pineapple. You can get vitamin C from tangerine. You can get vitamin C from lemon. You can get vitamin C from lime as well. So we are encouraging people, if you are buying foods, try to include some of these things to be able to incorporate it into your diet.
Okay.
Vitamin C is also, vitamin D is also one of the nutrients that has been shown to help improve the immune system. And vitamin D can be gotten from, the main source of vitamin D is sunlight, okay, the early morning sunlight. However, you can get some from the foods as well. The oily fishes such as salmon, you can get some from tuna, you can get some vitamin D from the milk products, okay, and then some amount of eggs contain some amount of vitamin D as well. Then the other two vitamins that can improve the immune system is vitamin E and then zinc as well.
Okay.
And mostly with vitamin E, you get it from the nuts and seeds. That's almond nuts, cashew nuts. You can get some from sesame seeds, most of the seeds.
How about granules, which is very common?
Yes, the peanuts are common granules. You can get some from vitamins. You can get some some zinc from it, okay? And then also with regards to walnuts, almond nuts, you know, you can get a lot of vitamin. You can get a lot of zinc and vitamin E from those sources. So we're encouraging people to do a lot more of the nuts and seeds to be able to help. So these are certain nutrients that have been shown to improve the immune function.
Okay. So vitamin E, tiger nuts.
Yes.
Could give you vitamin E.
Yes, you can get some from the nuts and seeds as well. And then whole grains, okay? You can get some from beans as well.
When you say whole grains, can you mention the specific?
Yes, so whole grains, we are talking about, cereals that have a lot of fiber. Our typical millets, you can get some from brown rice, you can get some from wheat, you know, we get some from our wheat bread. Things that have not been in their refined form, sorghum and other whole grain cereals can actually also give you some of the, the zinc and vitamin E as well.
Great.
All right. So aside these particular nutrients and foods, we are also encouraging people to drink a lot of water. Okay, it is very, very important. Water intake can actually also improve your immune system. In fact, it's been shown that people who do not take a lot of water or adequate amount of water can have lowered immunity. And so the recommended amount of water should be about 6 to 8 glasses of water. Okay. You know, that will be about between 4 to 6 sachets a day if you are bringing in a sachet form. And we are also, in terms of liters, about 1.5 to 2.5 liters, close to about 3 liters of water a day.
Okay.
It's adequate enough for the body. And so sometimes in certain high temperatures, you are allowed to drink more. So at least you should not be drinking less than 6 to 8 glasses of water a day, because water intake at this point in time would be able to help boost the immune system. And then we also encourage certain lifestyle modifications. People who take in a lot of alcohol and cigarettes can also put the body at risk of lowered immunity. You know, recently when I was following the media, there are a lot of people who think that alcohol intake can actually prevent you from getting
if we're washing our hands with sanitizer made up of 70% of the alcohol, then we might as well drink it. That's what some people thought.
Well, that is not the case, okay? So you actually don't need to take in excess alcohol. Excess alcohol intake would actually rather put your immune system at risk. So the alcohol thing, it's about the alcohol in the hand sanitizers that we need to use in our hands and not for consumption. If you actually take in alcohol, you end up lowering your immune system, and that will put you at risk of COVID-19. And if you get an infection, the outcome could be very bad. In terms of cigarettes, in fact, yesterday WHO have even actually mentioned that cigarette intake should be discouraged at this point in time, because most people will use their hand to smoke. And if you have a contaminated hand with the virus and then you are smoking, you are likely to get infected because of using your hand to smoke as well. Aside that, some chemicals in the cigarette can also lead to lowering of your immune system.
One of the videos that made the rounds was this woman who was even in the recovery stage. It was very horrible, and she was advocating that if you smoke, you're putting yourself in danger, because if you happen to get the virus, it will be difficult to fight it.
Yeah, that's very true. So cigarettes or smoking is one of the things we discourage at this point in time. And then sleep, you know. We need to have adequate amount of sleep. Stress has actually been shown to actually lower the immune system, and we're encouraging people to have adequate rest. At least for a typical adult, you should be having not less than 7 hours of sleep a day. So either 7 hours or 8 hours or more of sleep will actually help reduce your stress level and improve your immune system.
If you do 5 hours in the night, but you take a nap a long, sometime in the day, does that make up for the 8 hours or more that you need?
Yeah, it does. So at least 7 hours or more includes the naps, okay? So at least by the close of the day, you should be able to have about 7 hours or more of sleep to be able to reduce the body stress level and strengthen your immune system to protect you from COVID-19. So we are encouraging people to have adequate amount of sleep because it helps.
Okay.
And in terms of food security, now discussions are ongoing. There possibly can be a lockdown, and there's likely to be food security if there's a lockdown. Even if the lockdown for about 2 weeks or a month, there's likely going to be food security. So we're encouraging people to make sure that if in case of lockdown, when you buy the foods, you should store, you should make sure you have adequate amount of nutrient-rich foods, and also make sure that you reach out to other vulnerable or poor people who may not be able to afford in terms of lockdown. So food security issues may not even go all the way even after the end of this virus outbreak, because a lot of food systems have been affected and all that. So we need to look at that aspect as well. And then food safety is also very important during this period. Imagine we have a lockdown. I mean, people are going to buy a lot of foods to store. How do you keep the foods from going bad? It's also one of the things we need to look at. So we're encouraging, I'm recommending that people who buy foodstuffs should store it in such a way that they separate the cooked meals from the raw, foods, because there could be a possibility of cross-contamination, and that could lead to infection as well.
Okay.
You know, we are dealing with COVID-19, but we are also entirely trying to fight other risks of infection. So food storage is very important. We are expecting people to actually, cook the foods and put them in separate portions that will be enough for a serving, so that you pick one portion, you heat that for the entire family instead of removing and reheating as well. Okay, so it's also one of the things we need to look at in case of a possible lockdown.
Great advice. Just some quick questions on WhatsApp, and then we'll wrap up this. Somebody's asking, does Sobolo or Bissap have any benefit around this time, I guess, in particular?
All right. Yes. So it's actually a healthy, fruit or juice. Sobolo, for instance, contains rich sources of folate, iron, and it has some amount of vitamin A. However, some people prepare it and put a lot of sugar inside, and so we are discouraging excessive consumption of fruit juices that has added sugars. So if you do the Sobolo, what I would recommend is you try to reduce the amount of sugar in it.
Okay.
So that you'll be able to get the maximum benefit.
Here's
Putting
another
too
question.
Much sugar will put the body at risk.
I want to know whether palm wine intake in moderation also offers the body a good deal of vitamin A.
Well, okay, so palm wine and vitamin A, to the best of my knowledge, in fact, palm wine actually contains alcohol, and as earlier on discussed, alcohol is one of the things that can lower your immune system. In fact, if you are looking for vitamin A, you can get it from the red oil, you can get it from mango, you can get it from orange, carrot, tomatoes. You should rather look for vitamin A from the rich food sources, which I mentioned earlier. So there is no evidence that palm oil contains certain adequate amount of vitamin A that can help the body at this point in time. It actually will rather leave you worse because of the alcohol content in it. So we are encouraging that even if you take, please try to limit your intake of alcohol during this time.
Okay, all right. Here's another question, and it says, well, thank you for the education. Can you please give any advice on the use of sunflower oil? And is there any advice to ulcer patients? It's from Munkaila in Tamale.
All right. So sunflower oil is actually also classified as one of the highly rated oils because it contains omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. So we would recommend people use sunflower oil. But like I said, excess intake of oil, whether it's healthy or not, can still put the body at risk. So even if you are using sunflower oil, you should try to reduce the amount of oil.
Okay.
For stomach ulcer patients, we advise that you eat small frequent meals. You don't need to get hungry before you eat. When you do that, you upset the stomach. So even when you're on medication, you eat small frequent meals. When you eat too much at a time, it will cause pain. So never allow the body to feel hungry before you start to eat, because when that happens, you're going to upset your stomach.
All right. Somebody's asking specifically cow milk, also good for the body. Adam from Kentampo, I think it's part of the plates that we showed. I guess maybe because we said skimmed or semi-skimmed. There's a question related. Can you give me an example of skimmed milk?
All right. So we have a number of, skimmed milk in the market. Normally I wouldn't like to promote a particular brand, but whenever you go to the malls, just ask for skimmed options. Whatever is available is fine. Most of the plant-based milks are okay. Soya milk, you have almond milk, we have non-dairy milk. The cow milk can also be used. We have low-fat options of cow milk that can be used, that are in the market. So once a particular milk brand has less amount of fat, it's good to go.
Here's one last question, unfortunately. It says, when you have all the required nutrients, how long should it be cooked to still maintain the nutrients? So if you're cooking the food, to still maintain the nutrients in the vegetables that you talk about, how long should you cook the food for?
All right. So typically, we would encourage people not to overheat the food, okay? One of the things that is likely to happen is that when you are overheating the food, you are likely to have most of the nutrients being lynched. Some of the nutrients will get lynched, and that can put the body at risk. So it is very difficult to give a particular period of time for a particular food because it depends on the food particularly you are cooking for. But what we recommend is that normally some people overcook the food to a point where the color of the vegetable is changing to red. That is a signal to show that the food has been overheated. But we don't also want people to undercook their meals because at this point in time, cooking your food very well is also very important to prevent you from getting other infections as well.
Okay, all right. So I guess once it is cooked, you know it is cooked, don't overheat it. You can just keep it in the freezer, and then you take the portions that you eat at a time to heat when you're ready to eat, and not heat the entire thing. So that was a question from Mamiefua from Legon. Well, this is where we have to end the conversation. I hope that we've done enough education and you know what to do. I like what you said. Don't take the supplement. Take it from the foods that would give you those nutrients that you require. And we've gone through quite a number, so we hope that you can help yourself with that. Maxwell, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being here. Maxwell Bisala Conlai is a member of the Ghana Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Well, you know, the primary method of transmitting COVID-19 is a droplet spread from being close to an infected person who may have no symptoms sometimes. Thus, social distancing is the most important way to reduce risk to you and others. Stay with us. More conversations coming up.
Well, after all the things and related concerns that have been expressed about coronavirus and all, we have to live in homes and houses. And what a way. Life must still move on. And look, we want to run this by you. We have Waylead Ghana. We have their representative, a senior property consultant. They're here to tell us about some of the offerings they have. Emmanuel Nyako is here. Emmanuel, good morning to you.
Good
How are you
morning.
coping with the current state related on coronavirus and all?
We are on it, taking all the precautions and following up keenly on what the Ministry of Health will say. So definitely we are on it.
I would assume that you're working out of the office.
All right. Most of our staff are working out of the office. So on each day we have just one salesperson on site to take customers around the project site. But even in that one, we have a lot of precaution measures. We have the infrared thermometer to take your temperature. Before we even allow you, we have sanitizers and waters all over. So,
What a way. That then would transition us for us to ask that Waylead, with all this you're doing with the precautions, coronavirus, can you tell us about you?
All right. So Waylead is actually an international company with our offices in China, US, and Ghana. We have a combined project of residential, retail, and commercial projects of more than 23 million square meters across the globe in China, US, and Ghana. In Ghana, we have 3 projects here
that
in
you're
Ghana.
working on?
Yeah,
Okay.
our first project based at the Marat East Airport is 100% sold out with homeowners living in. Our second project, Les Jardins Symphonique at Sakumono, it's about 40% completed with homeowners living in, and the project is ongoing. And our new baby, the Alphabet City, which is 2 and 3 bedroom apartment, also at Sakumono, ongoing.
What are the uniqueness of your project relative to what competitors may be offering?
All right, so at WayLead, we are not just building houses for you to come and live in. We have fully serviced residential homes at Sakumono, 2 and 3 bedroom apartment, and 3, 4, and 5 bedroom townhouses. In all our project sites, we have underground storm drain, and all our cables are underground. Besides that, our estate management is second to none. So we don't just sell the house to you and leave it on your own. So right from the start of the project to completion, we are with you. And even when we hand over the house to you, we are still with you, making sure that homeowners live comfortably.
Would that then answer the question, what will be the future, or what's the future of WayLead's projects that they're undertaking?
All right, so probably our first project is the benchmark in Ghana, where we have our first project completed at East Airport. Homeowners are living in peace with all the amenities that one will need. A gym in this moment that you have to exercise a lot. We have a gym in there. We have a swimming pool. And even our second project, which will be our biggest project in Ghana, we are going to have a social amenities like the gym, the clubhouse, the swimming pool, and all the facilities that will make living in the place unique. And our project is strategically located at a place, we are very close to the Junction Mall, the Celebrity Golf Course. We have very good schools around, good hospitals. So we are strategically positioning our project at Sakumono. And it's easy, you have easy access to the central business district of Accra and Tema. So within 20-25 minutes you are at Accra, within 20 minutes you are at the airport, and within 10-15 minutes you are at Tema Port. So if you are staying in our community, then you don't have any problem with traffic in the stores.
I'm thinking your value proposition to potential clients, then you satisfy all the P's in marketing. Please.
Yes, please.
Well, but how do potential clients then who would be interested in all the things you've told us be interested to be able to contact you? How would they contact you?
All right, so for you to contact us, you can log on to our website, www.waylead.org, or you can call our numbers 0240 11 1119 and 02. So let me repeat again: 0240 11 1119 or 0540 44 99 999. So okay. 05044. The rest are all 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 05044.
Yes,
and then the rest are 9.
Yes, please. So okay. The numbers are on the screens.
Okay.
And all our numbers are on WhatsApp, so you can WhatsApp us.
Fantastic.
And even at this situation, what we are doing is that we are saying, okay, if you are interested, don't worry to make a movement to our area. Just give us a call.
You do it real time, virtual.
Virtual.
You navigate a client through whatever portfolios you
have. Yes, please.
That's a good one. There's a question I forgot though, but it's always important and on the mind of many clients. It's about how flexible your payment terms are, how affordable they are, you know, relatively to the target customers that you have. And we'll make sure that we ask the appropriate questions as they are. But somebody may ask, and I have to ask you, how flexible are your payment terms, and when can clients visit your properties?
Okay, so with our payment, I think we are the only real estate in Ghana that we can give you between 2 to 5 years payment plan without any interest. So we are saying take your time, give us a deposit. You have 2 to 5 years to repay for the cost of the house without any interest. Somebody will say 5 years is still small for me. No problem. We have our mortgage partners that we can introduce you to. They can give you up to 20 years mortgage for you to buy a house. So we are in for any bracket of the market. Of course, if you have the money to pay outright, we give you some good discount. And not to forget, in 2019, we awarded the Quality Property Awards by the Ghana Property Awards. So in the whole 2019, looking at the real estate market, we produce quality houses. So to share the good news with our clients, we are giving 5% discount on our townhouses and 10% discount on our apartments.
Fantastic. Wow, what a way to go. Well, thank you very much. And Mr. Nyako, thank you, marketing lead for WayLead Ghana. Thank you for passing through the studio this morning.
Thank you.
And again, the numbers are, if you want to reach them, high and low-end property developers. They're right here in Ghana. We lead Ghana, and their numbers are on the screens, 0240. The numbers of 1 are 5, and then you get 9, and then they have another number, as a Vodafone number, 05044999999.
Okay, one last thing. So probably we are telling Ghanaians to adhere to what the government is saying. We shall monitor the situation keenly, and we know that God will take us through this one too.
We lead Ghana, God, and coronavirus education. Thank you very much. And that's where we transition into entertainment. We want to bring you the latest update from the world of showbiz on AM Showbiz, brought to you by Awake Purified Water.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to Showbiz here on the AM show. Now, New York-based Ghanaian musician Fritz Oakley has urged Ghanaians to accept that staying home is the only way to combat the coronavirus. According to the musician, the world has been affected greatly by the pandemic, and it has become very important to stay safe and stay at home.
Hi everyone, my name is Fritz Oakley and I'm speaking to you from New York City. By now everybody knows what is going on around the world. Unfortunately, on this side of the globe, this pandemic, this virus has taken a gruesome toll on lives, businesses, and generally individuals out here. Schools have been asked to close, businesses have shut down, families have been torn apart. It's getting worse and worse and worse, and the cases out here in New York are getting higher and higher and higher. There's this constant rise of fear, panic, and anxiety. Nobody actually knows what is going on. Even powerful governments have really exhausted all their resources and are currently looking to God for a turnaround or for some sort of miracle. People are hoping that this apocalypse will come to an end very, very soon. So the best advice I would give to people out there is to be safe. Here, in fact, New York City, that once happened to be a city of lights and life, has gradually morphed into a ghost town. You'd really see people walk around. In fact, I'm not even supposed to be out here right now, but I have to go get food.
Now, gospel artist Celestine Donko has also joined the campaign against the coronavirus pandemic. She has stated that Ghanaians follow the necessary precautions and stay safe.
The only song, the only melody, the only lyrics I have for you right now is to tell you that I need you to survive. I need you alive. Ghana needs you alive. Please, let's obey and take the precautions advised. Wash your hands frequently with soap under running water. Make sure your kids also wash their hands and use the sanitizers. Please keep a distance from people and stay home. Please, the only thing that will keep you alive is to isolate and distance yourself. We need you alive. Madekukuna mi Ghana to. Egbepa ya demi lenyi be jagbagba. Ne mi akra sikle jala. Mina mia hemia dokyo le mia no nyonchi. Vie just for a while. Mi hiya be mia kata mia no agbele eyi yame. But as we are praying and believing God, we know that COVID-19 is a guest. It will go away. But please, don't let it go with you.
Yeah, for Showbiz here on the AM show, the small Showbiz Roland in our subsequent bulletin.
Yeah, definitely. But that's where we wrap up this morning. And thank you for passing through the studio. And I wish you the best of that. I hope you're observing all the...
Yeah, I am washing my hands, using the sanitizers, and staying distant.
Thank you. Well, that's where we wrap up. But before we go, do you want to get access to the new Joy Learning channel on Multi TV, or are you having any challenges with your Multi TV box? Well, kindly make sure you contact Multi TV for assistance on the following numbers, and the numbers are 0244 340415 or 0244 340424 or 0302 226163. Multi-TV, just thrilled. Why leave your home or office when news is available to you on the go? Now, make sure you download Graphic News Plus from Google Play Store or the App Store. Enjoy 10% discount on monthly subscription, 15% for 3-month subscription, and 20% for just 6 months and beyond. Graphic News Plus, connecting people through news. And that's where we wrap up for the day. Make sure that you observe social distancing, you use hand sanitizers, the requisite ones or approved ones, or you keep washing your hands and the running water with soap constantly, as you also make sure that you get to educate others and isolate yourself, or just stay put and work out of the office at a secure location or at home. That's what we leave you with this morning. But we do have regular programming right here on the channel, and always get interactive. Joy News on TV is on Facebook. We have a Twitter handle at Joy News on TV, and you can always get the latest news through our portal, myjoyonline.com. Bye-bye.